This video will share ideas for helping others engage in the work. There are many ways that we can obtain training in becoming more proficient at helping others. The best source will be LDS.org. If you go to LDS.org, you can receive training by clicking on the Families and Individual tab and then clicking Family History. At that point, an entire section of training for leaders, for members, for consultants will open, and you'll be able to obtain a great deal of information and help in your calling. The other two spots that I might mention are the fhguide.com, where a great deal of training has been put together to help you to succeed both in your personal and in your calling in terms of family history work. The Rexburg Family History Center has the website familyhistorynow.org, and we have several videos linked there that will assist consultants in becoming more adept at using family history tools and being able to assist members to find their ancestors and to bring them to the temple. One thing that you might consider asking yourself is, what is the correlation between missionary work and family history work? As we have more and more youth become involved in family history work, one of the reasons that we enjoy that occurring when they're 17 and 18 is that it prepares them so well for a mission. A young person who learns the skills of family history work and then goes to members in their ward and offers to assist them and sets up appointments with them and teaches them in their home is really preparing in a very direct way for service in the mission field. And if you think about it, missionaries that you've seen that have done great things as missionaries were proactive people who went out and boldly asked people if they could teach them the gospel and help them. They were people who knew what they wanted to accomplish and sought to do specific things that they could measure. And then, of course, good missionaries would teach individuals in their home and do it as often as they could. So, how do you become a proactive, results-oriented person who teaches individuals? Well, those are all facilitated by the consultant planner on Family Search. This is a very new uh, tool that's been added to Family Search this year, and so I'll show you how to access it and how to use it. When you go onto the home page of Family Search and you click on the Get Help tab at the top right of the screen, you'll notice at the bottom of the table that opens up is the consultant planner. Click on that and you will open a screen that allows you to help other people by either inviting them or adding them manually. This is a great opportunity for consultants. They're able to get onto people's trees and prepare for opportunities to teach them in their home. If you were going to click the Invite Person button, you would then have this screen appear where it would tell you that you are able to send an email to a member of the church and invite them to give you the opportunity to view their family tree and to find people who need ordinances. Something else that's very new is that this will tie into your stake and ward, so that if you leave the ward and stake directory clicked, you can click the arrow to the right of the search name and it will open up to your ward, and you can change it to other wards in your stake, and you can select individuals, and if they have placed their email address in the in LDS.org's directory, it will place both their name and their email address and allow you to just send it. So that's a great aid that is new and very helpful. You can also enter manually, just put in the name of the person and get their email address and send it to them. Whichever you do, an email will be sent to that member, and this is what it'll look like. It'll say their name and then say that the consultant would like to help you with your family history, please click the button below to give that person permission to do this, and then it will tell you that you may be required to sign on to Family Search. And then they would merely click the Grant Permissions button, and it would then send the consultant this email. Stan, dear consultant, the person that you sent an invitation to has granted you permission to access his or her Family Search account. You can access that account for 1 year, and then you could click here to go to the consultant planner, or you could open the consultant planner manually. Well, when you go to the consultant planner, there are a lot of different things that are available on there. We just discussed inviting people. The people who have answered back fall under the category of having accepted or been added to your planner. And so you could come to any one of the people that are there and click on their name. And once you click on their name, then a overview of their involvement in family history work becomes available to you, and it will show you the last time they logged in, the last reservation they made, the last memory they added, the last source they added. To the right over here, there are some live links of record hints that are available to them, pioneer stories, War of 1812 sources that are available to them. You can see that it's a colored graphical screen that is larger than the fan chart on Family Search. It has a couple more generations, and you can hover over any one of these individuals and it will go ahead and show you who that person is. I really like the fact that it by color designates what country the person is from, because there's some areas that I try to avoid if I'm trying to help somebody, because I'm not as good researching in that area. And so I'll stick to the areas that I'm more comfortable with. All I have to do is click Go to Tree, and I can go to their tree and see their tree, and then I can spend some time finding an individual that needs ordinances and remembering how I did that, so that when I meet with them in their house, I can take them through the process. And instead of struggling for a while, I can just immediately show them a success experience and not have them watch me flounder in front of them. Just below this area that I've been demonstrating are two sections. One of them is about creating lessons. It allows you to be able to prepare for the time that you will sit down with them in their home and demonstrate whatever skill it is that you're wanting to demonstrate. And below that is a tracking your progress box that you can also use to maintain record of what you've done with individuals and how the progress is going. So this is a wonderful device that is very helpful to you in preparing for meetings with individuals. The better you get at it, the more you will be able to get done in your ward or stake. Now, I wanted to ask you just for a quick second to consider what goal you think you should have for family history work. The old adage, if you aim at nothing, you will usually hit it, is true. And so the church has facilitated our ability to measure our progress in helping other people with family history work. They have quite a few new reports, and again, these are new as of this year, and this is what the stake report looks like. It will compare the previous year's totals to the current year, and it'll tell you how many more or less individuals you have who are submitting a name to take to the temple. And so in this stake, 322 people had submitted by June. It also gives you a view of people who have their first 4 generations in the tree, and then members who logged on to Family Search and members who participated in family history activities. So those are adding an ancestor, adding a memory, or indexing. And so you can see it gives a 3-year comparison. Those are wonderful statistics and very helpful to be able to see. Also on the stake report is a breakdown, the total number for the stake, by ward, how many in each ward and how many members are in the ward, and what the percentage of that is, how many adults in the ward and how many adults are available, how many youth, how many converts, and how many YSAs. So the stake report is very helpful and is focused primarily on taking a name to the temple and how many members have requested the ability to do so. Ward consultants used to be left out of the loop and didn't have much of a way to be able to see how their ward was doing. Now that's changed. If you sign on to onto LDS.org so that your account is opened up on LDS.org, you can then click on your name. And once you've clicked on your name, this box will open up and you should click again on Leader and Clerk Resources. At that point, once you've clicked on Leader and Clerk Resources, there's a box at the top, or a tab at the top left of the screen where you can click Reports. Once you click Reports, then you'll be able to select the Family History Activity Report. It's not quite as extensive as the stake report is, but it gives you a comparison of how the ward did the previous year versus this year, and how many members have requested names to take to the temple by the month that you're in. And then it will also give those same statistics that you saw at the bottom of the stake report, the members with the first 4 generations, members logging on to Family Search, and then those 3 different types of family history activities, the adding an ancestor, adding a memory, and indexing. So those are some great ways to consider how well the ward is doing. I, at this point, would throw out the suggestion that if I were a ward family history consultant, what I would do is set a goal for myself as to how I want to try to help the ward to improve in these numbers. And I wouldn't just leave it to myself. I would try to bring these reports to members of the bishopric, to the young women, young men leaders, and let them see them and let them consider them so that they could say, wow, we have 80 youth in our ward and only 6 have requested a name this year. You'll be surprised at how they'll have their minds start to turn and be inspired about the desire to have more people participate in the work. And as they do that, then they'll ask you as a consultant, how can we get more people involved? What can you do to help us with our goal? And to the degree that you can transfer the goal from yourself to other leaders and have them own that, you will have made a major breakthrough. Also, as a ward family history consultant, I would say that it's not just trying to improve the numbers, but setting for yourself a reasonable pace where you can see that you will have made a difference in the numbers if you follow that pace. So what I've done for myself on occasion in the past when I've served as a ward family history consultant is I have said I want to help 1 person a week. That's a very sustainable pace, and yet without that goal, it's just a vague idea. I'm going to help people and I'm going to try to inspire them to request people to take to the temple, but I can look up a month or 2 later and not have helped anybody, even though I've got that vague general goal. So I suggest that you say, I'm going to help 1 person a week, 1 person a month, 1 person every other week, whatever works in your schedule, and then figure out a way to maintain that pace. The way I've done it in the past is I will go into Sunday school and I'll look around before Sunday school. I'll prayerfully pick somebody and then I'll go up to them and say, could I help you find an ancestor who needs to go to the temple? And they'll say, well, sure, I'd love that. And then I will usually get their username and helper number from them. I could, at this point with that consultant planner, also just invite them. The thing I like about getting the username and helper number is that then I have the ability to get on the screen and I don't need to wait for them to approve the process. I can do it that afternoon if I want to. But I get that information, I go on their tree, I find them an ancestor who really does need to go to the temple, I keep track of how I found that person. Then I get back with them and say, can I show you the person that I found? And I'll sit down and we'll print that card right there at their home while I'm uh, at their house for that one experience. And then you can try to schedule follow-up appointments so that they really master all the skills of taking somebody correctly to the temple. But if you do that, trying to help one person a week, you will be a proactive, results-oriented ward family history consultant who will make a major difference in your ward. Most wards will have their percentages doubled by one consultant who helps one person a week. I'd like to just now consider with you how we could nudge those numbers uh, according to the callings that we have. And so let me just point out some ideas for each type of calling that is related to a family history experience. The first, of course, are the primary leaders, the stake presidents and the bishops. They don't have the time to be able to devote to doing a lot for this work, but to the degree that they can personally participate in family history work so that they can bear testimony of their own spiritual experiences with it and their love of it, they will promote the work that way, and they'll have revelation and inspiration come to them as they do the work themselves. If they use these statistics and they consider them with other leaders and sit down and say, now I noticed that last year your group did this, can we improve that? What goal would you like to set? Encouraging and using statistics is going to be a very helpful thing for stake presidents and bishops to do. Perhaps the most important thing for stake presidents and bishops is to call consultants who aren't experts in genealogical work, haven't been doing it for 50 years, but know how to magnify a calling, know how to teach and inspire, and are willing to learn the needed skills. We would be so well served if we would quit limiting ourselves to only those people who are experts in genealogical work, and instead we went to the person who knows how to teach and inspire and magnify a calling. They can learn the skills they need to succeed very quickly. And so those are the types of individuals that we hope will be called to these positions of ward family history consultants and otherwise. A new calling that is very exciting is the stake temple and family history consultants. This calling is one where the High Counselor used to manage this, but they just didn't have the time or the expertise to do a very good job of it most of the time. And so if stake temple and family history consultants participate personally, and if they learn the needed skills that they need to, and then they know the consultants in each ward, encourage wards to call more quality consultants, and then ensure that each one is well trained, great things will happen. We have not in the past done a good job of knowing who the consultants in the ward are and knowing what their level of training is. And these stake temple and family history consultants will be able to do that in ways that have never been able to be done in the past. The next one that has been at the heart of the family history work, of course, is the ward temple and family history consultants. They are on the cutting edge of the work, and so they should participate personally as well. They should learn the needed skills, and they should focus on individually helping, as I say, my standard, one member a week take an ancestor to the temple. Anything that is getting away from doing these group experiences that motivate people, but in the end you don't know if anybody really did anything in response. Throwing a fifth Sunday fireside or a Sunday school class, that's not the focus of a ward temple and family history consultant. The focus ought to be on helping individuals regularly find and take people to the temple. The next person that's highly involved and again oftentimes has been marginalized and on the sideline is the high priest group leader. Again, if he can personally participate, he'll be able to bear testimony and gain skills that he needs. He wants to learn those skills that will make it so that he's not as intimidated and worried about trying to promote this work. The high priest group leader should ensure that consultants are called and trained. And imagine if the high priest group leader kept the consultants busy, if he was going around during that Sunday school time and asking people, could we find for you an ancestor who needs to go to the temple? And then he went to the consultants and said, Brother Jones said that he would want to, here's his username and helper number. Could you get that put together this week and get back with Brother Jones before next Sunday? The other thing that the high priest group leader could do that would be wonderful is to inspire the ward council to have more leaders in the ward view family history work as part of their calling and get them to uh, collectively consider how the ward can become involved in family history work. And that leads to the other ward leaders. They should be participating personally. They have skills that they need to learn. One of the things that we hope is that they will own the duty instead of viewing family history work as something that the ward temple and family history consultants are supposed to promote and do, that they would view the consultants as assistants to them in their personal goals and the things that they're seeking to achieve. Well, there's some ideas and some helps for you to become a more effective leader in promoting family history work in your ward. Hopefully you'll have some great experiences and additional insights that are prompted from these thoughts.